The Grand Council Hall of the Galactic Alliance was buzzing with a mix of fear, confusion, and disbelief. Delegates from dozens of species filled the enormous chamber, their voices overlapping in a chaotic chorus. Every representative had come seeking answers, but none could provide any. The humans, those strange, resilient creatures that had once seemed ordinary, were gone. It had not been a loud or violent departure. There was no war, no announcement, no disaster. One day, humans were on their colonies scattered across the stars. The next day, they were simply gone. Entire worlds they had built, maintained, and thrived on remained intact, humming with energy, yet without a single human presence. "Have any of the sensors detected life signs?" asked the tall, crystalline delegate from the Vril species, its voice ringing like chimes. Its many eyes scanned the holographic display floating in front of the council. "None," replied the human liaison's alien counterpart, a being called Mrak of the Solari. "We checked all known human settlements. Every system is fully operational. Yet, they are empty." A low murmur ran through the hall. The council had faced crises before: plagues, natural disasters, even invasions, but never had a species vanished quietly. Ambassador Letha of the Zelvani slammed her clawed hand on the table. "This is impossible. Humans were weak. They barely had control over a few star systems. And now? Nothing? How could they vanish without leaving a trace?" "No, it is not impossible," said Elder Haroon, a small, ancient being with gray skin and eyes like molten gold. "It is unusual. But perhaps we have underestimated them." The room went silent. Underestimation was not something the council took lightly. Far across the galaxy, the first team of alien investigators arrived on what had once been Earth's capital. Their ships hovered silently above sprawling cities. Buildings gleamed under alien sunlight. Roads and bridges stretched for miles, and machines moved about as if controlled by unseen hands. Yet there was no sound of life. Not a single human walked the streets. Commander Viren of the Solari stepped onto the observation deck and looked down. "They left everything intact," he murmured. "All their technology is functioning. But why?" His second-in-command, a small, four-armed creature named Firil, frowned. "Perhaps they planned this?" Vryn considered the possibility. Humans were clever, he knew that. They were not physically powerful like the Vril or the Zelvani, nor did they have a long lifespan like the Eldari, but they had something the others often lacked: foresight, strategy, patience. On one of the deserted colonies orbiting a distant star, another group of aliens explored the remnants of human cities. They walked through clean streets, entered buildings with intricate architecture, and marveled at the machines that continued to operate automatically. Some of the factories were producing goods for alien use. Others were creating food and medicine for populations that no longer existed. "These systems are adaptive," whispered Lian, an explorer from the aquatic Dreth. "They adjust to our presence. They help us survive." The group stared in shock. Humans had disappeared, yet their technology seemed to anticipate alien needs. It was as if they had left instructions, not in words, but in action. Every system, every device, seemed to carry a hidden intelligence, ready to respond to whoever arrived. Back in the Grand Council Hall, debates raged. The disappearance of humans caused political instability across the galaxy. Many species had relied on human colonies as neutral trading posts. Some had alliances with humans that helped maintain balance. With humans gone, tensions were rising. Old grudges resurfaced. Conflicts that had simmered for decades threatened to boil over. The Council's historians examined records of humanity, trying to find a clue. They discovered something startling. Humans had always been underestimated. They were seen as fragile, reckless, and unimportant. Yet the more the historians studied them, the more they noticed patterns. Humans survived disasters, adapted to harsh conditions, and often outwitted opponents. far stronger than themselves. A young scholar from the Eldari spoke, her voice trembling with excitement. It is almost as if they knew this would happen, that the galaxy would need them to be absent, and that we would learn something in their absence. The room went silent again. Could humans have planned their disappearance so meticulously that even the most powerful alien minds could not foresee it? Meanwhile, on a quiet world that humans had colonized, a small team of alien scientists discovered a series of hidden data cores. They were buried beneath what had once been a human library. These cores contained centuries of records, strategies, philosophies, histories, and detailed accounts of interactions with other species. Feral, the four-armed Dreth, carefully activated one of the cores. Holograms flickered to life, showing humans moving through cities, conducting experiments, and meeting with alien emissaries. Every action had been documented, analyzed, and stored. They were watching us, Feral said quietly. All along, they were watching us. Every move, every decision, every conflict. Viren's eyes narrowed. And yet they left. Quietly. No wars. No chaos. Just silence. What is the meaning of this? The alien team explored further and realized that humans had left automated systems capable of maintaining life, producing resources, and even guiding alien visitors. Every system had layers of instructions, all designed to keep the world in balance while humans were away. Humans were not just clever, said Lian. They were patient. They planned for a future they might never see. They knew we would come, and they left guidance for us. They shaped the galaxy even in absence. Back at the council, the mood was tense. Some delegates argued that the humans' disappearance was a sign of weakness. Others believed it was a test, a challenge to see how the galaxy would function without them. Elder Haroon spoke once more. We have always underestimated humanity. Perhaps it is time to admit that we do not understand them. They may be gone, but their influence remains. And we must act carefully, for their absence may yet teach us more than their presence ever did. As debates continued, the first signs of change appeared across the galaxy. Minor disputes flared into conflicts. Trade routes once managed by humans began to break down. Some systems struggled to adapt to new governance without human mediation. Yet, at the same time, small teams of aliens began discovering unexpected solutions. Self-replicating machines, energy systems, and AI networks that humans had left behind were quietly stabilizing colonies, preventing disasters, and even subtly encouraging cooperation. In the empty streets of Earth's capital, a holographic human figure appeared suddenly in the city square. It was not alive, but a recorded message. It spoke in multiple languages simultaneously, with warmth and clarity. Do not fear, the message said. We are gone, but we have left behind what you will need. Observe, learn, and grow. Our absence is not abandonment. It is opportunity. Be patient. Be wise. The aliens stared at the hologram in stunned silence. The message was simple, yet profound. Humans had disappeared, yet even in absence, they guided the galaxy. Some felt awe, some felt fear, most felt confusion. Commander Viren turned to his team. They did not vanish because they were weak. They vanished because they are strong. And we have yet to understand their strength. Night fell across the human colonies, though the term night was only relevant to some of the alien visitors. In every city, every automated factory, and every archive, human systems continued their work. Quietly, methodically, perfectly. Somewhere, far from the council and the colonies, humans observed the galaxy. Not with weapons, not with fleets, but with patience. They had left, but they had not disappeared, and the galaxy would soon learn that absence could be more powerful than presence. Without humans, the delicate balance that had kept peace among countless species began to falter. Trade agreements once mediated by human colonies started to crumble. Minor disputes that had been settled quietly now threatened to grow into open conflict. Yet no one could locate the humans, and no one knew what they wanted, or if they even existed anymore. In the Grand Council Hall, the mood was tense. Representatives whispered behind their raised voices, and some banged on the long, crystalline tables in frustration. "Without humans, the trade routes between Solara and Vrillin are collapsing," shouted Ambassador Litha of the Zelvani. Her voice carried an edge of panic. "And if the Solari and Dreth cannot communicate properly, war will follow." Elder Haroon remained calm, his small gray body swaying slightly as he listened. "Humans are gone, yes. But perhaps this chaos is deliberate. Observe carefully. Their absence may carry lessons we cannot yet understand." Marak, the Solari envoy, nodded slowly. "Every human system we have studied functions like a living network. Even empty, their colonies continue to act. Perhaps their disappearance is a test." The room was silent for a moment. A test? To most species, it seemed impossible. Why would humans voluntarily vanish and leave the galaxy in tension? Far from the Council, on a human colony orbiting a dim star, small alien teams began to explore what humans had left behind. Machines continued to hum, systems adjusted to alien presence, and resources appeared where they were needed most. Food dispensers activated when new aliens arrived, clean water flowed, and medical stations provided assistance automatically. Lian of the Dreth observed with growing awe. "They thought of everything," she whispered. "Not just leaving, but ensuring we can survive here. Even thrive. If we cooperate." "Cooperate?" asked Firil, her forearms gesturing. "They vanished, yet expect cooperation? How can they control anything from afar?" "They don't control," Lian replied softly. "They guide. Subtly. We act, and the systems respond. In that response, we learn, or adapt. Humans are teaching us even now." On a distant planet once known for a human mining colony, a small skirmish had broken out. Two alien factions argued over territory that had been jointly administered by humans. Weapons were drawn. Tensions rose. Yet before anyone could fire a single shot, a sudden wave of automated signals flowed across the planet. Machines began to activate. Energy fields prevented ships from approaching the disputed territory. Medical drones prepared to tend to anyone injured. And resource stations distributed food and water evenly to both sides. The alien leaders stared at the automated systems, baffled. The machines did not take sides, did not attack, and yet they prevented violence. "They're interfering," one of the commanders muttered. "But not to fight us. To stop us from fighting each other." Commander Viren, observing from orbit, realized the truth. Humans had left a galaxy-wide network capable of stabilizing conflict without humans being present. Their absence was not weakness, it was an experiment, a silent influence to shape the future. Meanwhile, across multiple systems, the ripple effect of human absence became more apparent. Economies that had relied on human mediation began to strain, and old rivalries resurfaced. In the Solara sector, trade between two alien species long regulated by humans had collapsed. Raw materials went missing, supply chains broke, and minor conflicts erupted over scarce resources. Yet the human systems began to intervene. Supply drones rerouted goods to areas of greatest need. Communication arrays broadcast messages, suggesting compromise and trade agreements. Hidden data cores offered guidance to alien leaders on resolving disputes without violence. Alien leaders were stunned. Humans had vanished. Yet they still influenced the galaxy, gently steering events without being seen. At the Grand Council Hall, debates raged over what to do next. Some factions argued that humans must be found, captured, or forced to return. Others suggested leaving them alone, allowing their systems to guide the galaxy at their own pace. Ambassador Litha slammed her claws against the table. "We cannot wait. Their absence is destabilizing everything. If we do not act, entire systems will collapse." Elder Haroon shook his head. Perhaps the collapse is part of the lesson. Watch carefully. Humans are patient. They do not need to rush. Observe how we adapt and learn. In the midst of the council's arguments, a Dreth scientist made a startling discovery. Hidden within one of the data cores were detailed records of every species' behavior. Humans had observed every political move, every trade decision, and every conflict. They had recorded weaknesses, strengths, and tendencies of the galaxy's major civilizations. They knew this would happen, whispered Lian. Every misstep, every argument, every conflict. They anticipated it. And they left systems to guide us, prevent disaster, and teach cooperation. The realization spread quickly. Humans had vanished quietly, but their departure was far from accidental. They had planned, observed, and prepared. Even without presence, they influenced the galaxy more than anyone had realized. Meanwhile, in the shadowed corridors of alien colonies, rumors of humans' abilities began to spread. Some began to fear them, believing their absence was a trap, a test to determine which species were worthy of surviving. Others admired them, wishing to learn from their intelligence, patience, and foresight. On a small planet in the outer rim, a holographic message from humans activated unexpectedly. Unlike the earlier general message, this one addressed a specific species, giving advice on resource allocation, conflict resolution, and trade negotiation. The message was calm, measured, and confident. Observe the galaxy, it said. Learn from your own actions. Do not fear our absence. Use it to grow, cooperate, and adapt. Our systems will guide you, but the choice is yours. The aliens who witnessed it were amazed. They realized that humans had not just planned for themselves, but for everyone else. Their disappearance was not abandonment, it was a teaching moment. Back at the Grand Council, the implications were staggering. Some delegates argued that humans were superior in ways they could not yet comprehend. They were physically weaker, yes, but their strategic mind and foresight made them a force unlike any other. Elder Haroun stood quietly, observing the council members' reactions. We have always underestimated humanity, he said softly. Now we must acknowledge that their absence is more powerful than their presence. And we have only just begun to understand the lessons they left for us. Tensions continued across the galaxy. But slowly, the influence of human systems began to stabilize events. Wars that could have erupted were prevented. Disputes that might have escalated were calmed. Even economies that had seemed on the brink of collapse began to function again, guided by human networks operating silently in the background. Yet not everyone understood this. Some factions still sought to control human technology, hoping to use it for dominance. Others attempted to locate humans, thinking they could force them to return. But no matter where they searched, humans remained absent, and their systems continued to operate independently, subtly ensuring balance and cooperation. On a deserted human colony, the alien teams exploring the city began to notice something even more remarkable. The machines humans had left were learning from alien behavior. They adjusted responses based on actions, communication styles, and even errors made by alien teams. Every system became smarter, more adaptive, and more effective. They are improving themselves, said Feral, astonished. Even without humans here, their systems continue to grow. Yes, said Leon. Humans did not just leave technology. They left intelligence that can observe, adapt, and guide. Their absence is not empty, it is active. They are still shaping the galaxy, quietly, without interference. As the weeks passed, the Grand Council began to acknowledge a truth that had seemed impossible. Humans were more than a species. They were a force of balance, able to guide civilizations even without being present. Their quiet departure had forced the galaxy to confront its weaknesses, adapt, and grow. In private, some alien leaders admitted what they had long denied. Humans were brilliant, patient, and far more powerful in strategy and morality than anyone had imagined. And even though they were gone, the lessons they left were clear. Far from the council, Somewhere beyond the known stars, humans observed silently. They did not return yet. They did not intervene directly. They had left the galaxy to face its own challenges, but with guidance embedded in every system, every record, every signal. The ripple effect of their absence was profound. Wars were prevented, alliances were tested, economies adapted, and civilizations were forced to rethink their priorities. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the galaxy began to change. Not because humans were present, but because humans had taught it how to change itself. The message was clear. Strength is not always measured by presence. Sometimes, the greatest power lies in absence. And sometimes, the quietest influence is the one that shapes the universe the most. As alien civilizations struggled, adapted, and learned, a single truth emerged. Humanity had vanished, but the galaxy would never forget them. They had left, but they had not abandoned. They had departed quietly, but their influence would echo forever. Weeks turned into months, and months into a year. Alien civilizations had struggled, adapted, and learned in the absence of humans. Conflicts that once seemed inevitable had been prevented. Economies that had faltered were recovering. Alliances were being tested. But in subtle ways, the galaxy had grown stronger. Yet despite the calm that slowly settled, there was an unspoken tension. Every species knew that humans had vanished intentionally. Every species wondered when or if they would return. High above a restored human colony, a small council of alien leaders met in secret. They had gathered to discuss the subtle interventions humans had made through their automated systems. "They left these systems to guide us," whispered Ambassador Letha, her claws folded tightly on the table. "But why? Are they observing? Testing? Or judging?" Elder Haroon's small gray eyes glimmered. "They are showing us what we are capable of. Humans teach not by force, but by expectation. They have left a path, and it is up to us to follow it wisely." Marak of the Tsolari leaned forward, voice low. "And when we do, what will happen? Will they return?" No one knew the answer. But somewhere in the stars, humans were watching. Not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as observers, patiently waiting to see if the galaxy could learn the lessons they had embedded in every system, every archive, and every automated network. On a remote human colony, alien teams continued to explore. They had grown accustomed to the quiet guidance of human technology. Machines adjusted themselves based on alien decisions. Holographic messages appeared periodically, offering advice tailored to specific situations. Commander Viren of the Tsolari marveled at the complexity. Even without humans here, every system adapts, predicts, and improves. It is astonishing. Firil, her forearms tracing the pattern of a holographic star map, nodded. "They are teaching us patience, cooperation, and foresight. This is more than technology. This is strategy, philosophy, and morality combined." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the ripple effect of human absence reached its final stage. Minor conflicts had been resolved. Trade disputes had been mediated. Political systems had adapted to the new challenges. The galaxy had grown stronger not because humans were present, but because humans had guided it to grow itself. Then, quietly, humans began to make themselves known, not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as collaborators. In a bustling trade hub, a human emissary appeared in a crowded square. The crowd gasped. Humans had been gone for over a year. Yet here, one stood calmly, smiling. She did not carry weapons, nor did she make demands. She simply extended her hands, offering guidance and partnership. "We are back," she said. "But not to rule. We return to help, to teach, and to collaborate. We have watched. We have waited. And now we act with you. Not above you." Alien delegates stared in awe. They had prepared for war, negotiation, or trickery. Yet humans had returned with humility and clarity. In the Grand Council Hall, the human presence was formalized. The aliens were nervous, some skeptical, but all were curious. Humans did not dominate the proceedings. Instead, they provided insights and guidance based on observations from their absence. "Your systems work well," Elder Haroon acknowledged. "You have guided us while remaining apart. It is extraordinary." A human ambassador nodded. "Our goal was never to control. Our goal was to prepare, to give every species a chance to grow, to learn, and to cooperate. We left not because we abandoned, but because we trusted." Across the galaxy, human technology continued its quiet work. Systems that once guided alien decisions now coordinated directly with returning humans. Data streams flowed seamlessly, connecting civilizations in ways that encouraged fairness, balance, and shared progress. Yet humans also emphasized autonomy. Aliens were free to make choices. Guidance was subtle, not forceful. When conflicts arose, humans offered solutions, but left the final decision to those involved. Every choice was a lesson in responsibility, patience, and foresight. On a planet once known for trade disputes, human emissaries intervened in a minor disagreement. Two alien factions argued over resource allocation. Instead of taking control, humans presented data showing the consequences of every option. "Consider this," said a human diplomat, pointing to a holographic map. "If resources are divided unevenly, your economy may falter. But if you cooperate, all species benefit. The choice is yours. We only provide insight." The alien leaders were stunned. They realized humans were not giving commands, they were teaching wisdom. Far in the outer rim, another team of aliens discovered hidden archives humans had left before departure. They contained centuries of observation, philosophical writings, and strategies. Every decision humans had made was recorded. Every lesson learned was stored for future generations. "They are more than a species," whispered Feral. "They are a guiding mind for the galaxy." Slowly, a new pattern emerged. The galaxy began to function more smoothly than ever before. Conflicts decreased. Trade flourished. Communication networks grew efficient. Every civilization had learned lessons in cooperation, patience, and responsibility. And humans, though present, remained quiet partners. They did not dominate. They did not demand. They simply guided, advised, and participated when asked. Their true power lay in their subtle influence, their foresight, and their patience. In the Grand Council Hall, delegates spoke openly about the impact of humans' return. "They taught us without fighting," said Ambassador Letha. "They vanished, and in their absence, we learned. And now they return, not as conquerors, but as partners. We have underestimated them for too long." Elder Haroon nodded. "Indeed. Strength is not always measured by force. Sometimes the greatest power lies in wisdom, foresight, and quiet influence." Even the Tsolari, a species known for their pride and aggression, admitted their respect. Commander Varin reflected on the year of human absence. "We thought they were weak," he said softly, "but their absence proved their strength. They shaped the galaxy. Not with weapons, but with patience, planning, and understanding." In private, humans observed the galaxy with satisfaction. They did not need to dominate. They had left systems in place, tested the civilization's ability to grow and cooperate, and now returned at the right moment. The ripple effect of their actions continued to spread. Young civilizations that had been on the brink of war now learned cooperation. Economies that had failed now flourished. Alliances that had been fragile were now stronger than ever. And yet, humans never imposed themselves. They acted as collaborators, advisors, and partners. Their quiet return reminded the galaxy that true strength lies not in power or force, but in wisdom, patience, and foresight. A small child from a distant species, watching the humans interact with the council, asked her teacher, "Why are they so different from everyone else?" Her teacher smiled. "They are humans. They think ahead. They teach without forcing. They have strength, not because they dominate, but because they guide. The galaxy began to recognize a truth that had been hidden for centuries. Humans were not ordinary. They were exceptional. They had left quietly, forcing the galaxy to deal with the consequences. They had tested civilizations, and in doing so, had strengthened them, and now they had returned, not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as partners, guides, and reminders of what the galaxy could become when wisdom and patience were valued above pride and aggression. In every system, from the smallest colony to the largest council hall, alien leaders began to whisper the same words. They did not need to fight us, they only needed to leave. Humans had departed quietly once, leaving behind systems, lessons, and guidance. Now they had returned quietly, not to take, but to continue shaping the galaxy in subtle, powerful ways. The galaxy would never be the same. And humans had proven, once again, that even absence could be more powerful than presence. In the silence of space, humans observed, waited, and guided. They were present, yet not controlling. They were absent, yet influential. They were, in every sense, the quiet force that had changed the galaxy forever. And in that quiet power, the universe learned its most important lesson: that humanity's true strength was in its wisdom, patience, and foresight, and in the choices it left for others to make. The Grand Council, alien civilizations, and even the smallest colonies had learned something profound. Humans had vanished, but in doing so, they had shown the galaxy how to thrive, and now they returned to continue that legacy.